Okay, so let's start with the export mode, which is your default screen. The first time you open up Rekordbox and get through the menu settings and all the questions that they asked you to begin with and creating an account and whatnot, you will land on the export screen, which is where you can create playlists. As the name suggests, export playlists. It's where you manage your music library. So we're going to take a look at a few things. First of all, this view that we've got here. This is a view that I've tailored for myself. The way that I have done that is through this little cog here, the preferences, and you can configure your view, how big the text is. You can configure what's in your. You can also configure what's in your media browser, all your different media sources. You can trigger on and off, so you'll see them appear on the left there as I tick them on or off. These are just the sources that I use, so I've chosen to go with them. And then you've got different color settings for your waveforms and whatnot. It's literally that simple, and get all the information that you want. If you want different menus up here, you just right click at the top and trigger the ones that you want on or off. Export mode is where you manage your music library, like I said. Now, for reasons mostly related to age, I run most of my music through iTunes. Not Apple Music, but iTunes. It's back in the day when I started DJing in the early noughties, right up until we had streaming in the sort of mid-teens. iTunes was really the only sort of platform where we could do things like creating playlists and managing music. So my iTunes is where I manage all of my playlists, and I go cross device with them as well. And because I was too far deep in the music collection, I've just stuck to it. Therefore, I keep the iTunes media source on the left here, and just run off my iTunes playlists. What a lot of people are doing these days is running through their Finder. When they download a track, you'll be able to find it here in your Downloads menu or your Finder, and there'll be music in there if you've downloaded it off websites or whatnot. If you're getting music off Tidal, then you won't be able to export tracks, so you can jump straight into the performance mode aspect of this tutorial. To create playlists, pretty simple. You go to this, just below the bookmark at the top, you've got the 3 lines and dots. And just on the word playlist there's a little plus arrow here at the end. So we're going to hit plus. And just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call it playlist 1. And this is creating playlists within Rekordbox. Nothing else, just within Rekordbox. So I can then go to, in my case, iTunes. In your case, whatever it may be your Finder folder. Sorry, your download folder in Finder, wherever you've just kept your music or downloaded your music to. I'm going to go to my recently added tracks. Let's say I wanted these top 4 into playlist 1. I just select them all by holding down Shift and pressing the last one I want to select. Right click, add to playlist, playlist 1. It's that simple. To then get that playlist onto an external device like a hard drive or even onto your phone, all you do is right click the playlist and go export playlist and choose the device. It will then appear on your device in the same format and even the same order that you create playlists within Rekordbox. So what does export mode actually do? It's where we can prepare tracks and listen to tracks. It doesn't allow you to mix. All it does is playback. So I've uploaded this track here, change it. I can press play. I can press pause. I can press Q. I can reset the queue. I can also regrid if I want to, and that is done by zooming into the track, and using these 3 dots here to move your grid point, which I can see on this track is actually ever so slightly off. So maybe I will take this opportunity to move that grid point. I'm going to move it a tiny bit this way, to the left. And you can see it moving there, ever so slowly. That's about the extent of what you can do here in export, but it is quite important, because you want to get to multi-device as you're going from venue to venue, if you're going from venue to venue, or if you just want to listen to music on your phone in your car or while you're going for a walk or something like that. Let's jump into performance. Okay, so here we are in performance mode, and there's a very good chance that the first time you load up performance mode, this is pretty much the screen you're going to see. You might get a couple more windows, but once again, go into the view setting in the preferences menu, and you can tailor the performance screen view to what you're after. So this is the meat and potatoes, right? This is what you're going to be using more when you're using your controller, which is kind of when you've got Rekordbox open. So it's basically your default window. What you want to do to trigger on different views is use these menus up the top here, just next to the word performance. I like to have the mixer, which replicates what I do on my controller. I also like to have my record button set here on the right hand side because I like to record all of my sets. But you might also like to have your pads. You might like to have the effects. Whatever it is that you're keen on, try them all. I like to keep the screen as simple as possible. This does mimic what we do on our controller, and in a lot of cases, the controller, the menus can be accessed off your jog wheel on the controller. So it's a simple matter of scrolling your jog wheel and selecting what you want. And the only sort of bit of knowledge here that's worth knowing is that you push the jog wheel to get into a separate menu, but not to select a track. You have to select the load. You have to press the load button to select a track, not push the jog wheel. Pushing the jog wheel just jumps between menus. Beyond that, it's going to mimic what you do on your controller, so there's not a lot to know on this screen. It's just your performance mode and waveform. When you load up a second song, the left-hand side deck is on the top, the right-hand side deck is on the bottom. And that is the simplest way of explaining how to get around Rekordbox.